Welcome to Creepy, the best horror storyteller on YouTube.
Part 1.
The wind howled a mournful dirge as I gripped the wrought iron gates of Hillview Manor. Even in the dying light, the old mansion exuded an air of decay and despair, its silhouette like a decrepit sentinel against the bruised November sky. My name is Eleanor Thorne, and this is the account of my descent into the chilling abyss that lurks within the walls of Hillview. A descent that began with a telegram, urgent and cryptic, summoning me to this desolate corner of Cornwall to fulfill the dying wish of my estranged grandfather, Alistair Thorne. Grandfather Alistair was a recluse, a man shrouded in whispers of madness and tragedy. His wife, my grandmother, vanished decades ago, swallowed whole by the secrets held within Hillview's shadowed halls. I never met her, only heard fragmented tales of her ethereal beauty and the chilling silence that followed her disappearance. Now, as the sole heir, I stood poised on the precipice of a legacy as dark and tangled as the ivy that snaked across the manor's crumbling facade. Pushing open the groaning gates, I felt a cloying sense of unease prickle my skin. The gravel crunched under my boots, each crunch echoing with an unsettling finality. The path to the manor was choked with weeds, gnarled branches of ancient oaks clawing at the dying light. As I neared the house, the windows, like vacant eyes, stared back at me, unblinking and black. Hillview itself loomed, a gothic monstrosity sculpted from granite and gloom. Gargoyles leered from the roofline, their grotesque visages contorted in silent screams. Ivy, like skeletal fingers, reached for the shattered panes, and a tattered banner, once proud, now hung limply, proclaiming a faded motto, Hillview Manor, where shadows whisper and secrets never die. My breath hitched as I crossed the threshold. The air was thick with dust and the musty scent of decay. Cobwebs, like macabre tapestries, draped the cavernous hall. A grandfather clock, its face cracked and frozen at midnight, stood as a morbid monument to time's cruel passage. Shadows flickered in the corners, dancing with unseen whispers. I felt a primal urge to flee, to outrun the creeping dread that coiled around me like a serpent. Yet, a morbid curiosity kept me rooted. I pressed on, drawn by an invisible thread towards the heart of the darkness. Each floor I ascended was colder, the shadows deeper, the silence more profound. Portraits of stern-faced ancestors with haunted eyes watched me pass, their painted lips seemingly on the verge of uttering dire pronouncements. Finally, I reached the attic, a labyrinth of dust-laden trunks and cobwebbed furniture. A single shaft of moonlight pierced the gloom, illuminating a weathered journal lying open on a rickety desk. It was Alistair's journal, his final confession scrawled in a feverish hand. As I read, the hairs on my arms prickled. He spoke of a malevolent entity that clung to Hillview, a darkness that fed on despair and thrived on secrecy. He described chilling whispers in the dead of night, shadows that shifted with unseen intent, and the ever-present feeling of being watched. He wrote of his wife's descent into madness, her obsession with unraveling the manor's secrets, and the chilling void that followed her vanishing act. And then, a revelation. Alistair had discovered a hidden chamber, a room sealed away, where the entity's true power resided. He warned against unlocking it, lest it unleash an evil beyond comprehension. But a thirst for answers, or perhaps a touch of the madness that plagued his bloodline, had ultimately driven him to break the seal. The last entry was dated the day before my telegram arrived. It ended with a single, blood-curdling sentence, "She has found me. God help us all." The journal slipped from my trembling fingers, clattering to the floor with a hollow thud. A gust of icy wind swept through the attic, extinguishing the remaining sliver of moonlight. I was plunged into total darkness, the silence thicker than ever, broken only by the frantic thudding of my own heart. Then I heard it. A whisper, soft at first, like the rustle of dead leaves, then swelling into a chorus of disembodied voices. They flowed around me, weaving through the cobwebs and dust, chilling me to the bone. The sound, though wordless, spoke of despair, of malevolent glee, of secrets best left undisturbed. And then, in the corner of my vision, a flicker of movement. A wisp of darkness, swirling and coalescing into a shadowy figure. Tall and emaciated, its form shifted and pulsed like smoke, eyes burning with an unnatural crimson glow. It spoke, its voice a raspy chorus of whispers woven into one, slithered through the darkness, slithering into my very soul. "Welcome, Eleanor Thorne," it rasped, the sound like nails scraping across a chalkboard. "You have returned to Hillview at last." My breath hitched, caught in my throat like a trapped bird. The figure took a step closer, its form wavering in the gloom, the crimson embers of its eyes seeming to burn brighter. "Your blood sings with the same madness that plagued your grandfather," it hissed, its voice a caress of icy dread. The same hunger for answers, the same foolish hope of unraveling the secrets that should remain buried. I stumbled back, my hand brushing against the cold, dusty surface of a trunk. My mind raced, searching for a weapon, a defense against this unseen horror. But there was nothing, only the endless attic and the suffocating embrace of the darkness. "Do not fight, Eleanor," the voice purred, slithering closer. "Embrace the darkness, as your ancestors did before you. Let it consume you, let it become your legacy." The crimson eyes bored into me, their malevolent gaze promising oblivion. I felt myself teetering on the edge, the abyss of madness beckoning with a chilling allure. My sanity, once a sturdy fortress, felt like crumbling sand under the onslaught of the entity's whispers. But then, a flicker of defiance sparked within me. My grandmother, the woman I never met, the one who vanished within these very walls, surged into my mind. Her ethereal beauty, her spirit swallowed by Hillview's secrets, fueled a surge of determination within me. I wouldn't succumb. I wouldn't let the darkness win. "No," I whispered, my voice hoarse but resolute. "I will not be another victim of your twisted game. I will fight. I will expose your secrets. I will bring an end to this nightmare." The figure recoiled, a ripple of surprise dancing across its shadowy form. "You defy me, child?" it hissed, the crimson embers in its eyes flaring with a malevolent rage. "You, a mere mortal, dare to challenge the power that has claimed your bloodline for generations?" I squared my shoulders, drawing strength from the memory of my unseen grandmother. "I am Eleanor Thorne," I declared, my voice ringing with newfound resolve. "And I will not let Hillview consume me. I will unravel its darkness, one secret at a time." The figure lunged, its shadowy form engulfing me in a cold embrace. I screamed, a primal cry of defiance that echoed through the attic. But instead of succumbing to the darkness, I fought back. I clawed, I kicked, I screamed my rage and my determination into the void. And then, with a sudden, ear-splitting crack, the attic floor gave way beneath my feet. I plunged into the darkness, the entity's shriek of fury echoing in my ears as I tumbled through the air. I landed with a bone-jarring thud on a pile of forgotten furniture in the floor below. My body ached, my senses reeling, but I was alive. The entity, for now, was gone. But the fight was far from over. Hillview Manor and the secrets it held were far too powerful to be vanquished in a single act of defiance. I had taken the first step, but the path ahead would be fraught with peril. As I lay there, bruised and shaken, I knew this was only the beginning. Hillview's secrets, and the darkness that clung to them, would not surrender easily. But I, Eleanor Thorne, would not give up. I would fight for the truth, for my grandmother, and for my own sanity. The haunting of Hillview Manor had just begun.
Part 2.
I crawled to my feet, ready to face whatever horrors awaited me next. My immediate concern was escaping the collapsing attic. Cobwebs clung to me like ghostly tendrils as I navigated the precarious maze of fallen beams and splintered wood. Moonlight, filtering through gaps in the roof, cast an eerie glow on the scene, the shadows dancing like mocking specters. Each creak and groan of the old house amplified my pounding heart, whispering tales of untold tragedies and lurking evil. Finally, I found a rickety staircase, barely clinging to the wall. It looked like a perilous climb, but it was my only way out. As I ascended, each step creaked in protest, threatening to give way and send me plummeting back into the darkness. The air grew thicker with dust and a cloying, metallic tang that made my stomach churn. I imagined the whispers of the past swirling around me, the anguished cries of those who had succumbed to the manor's malevolent embrace. Reaching the top floor, I stumbled through a doorway and into a long, dimly lit hallway. Cobwebs draped the windows like macabre curtains, and portraits of stern-faced ancestors with haunted eyes watched me pass, their painted lips seemingly on the verge of uttering dire pronouncements. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the echo of my own ragged breaths. Suddenly, a flicker of movement from the corner of my eye caught my attention. A shadow, darker than the others, detached itself from the wall and slithered towards me. My heart hammered against my ribs as the form coalesced into a familiar, horrifying silhouette, the entity. This time, however, it seemed different. Its once confident swagger was replaced by a flicker of uncertainty, almost fear. My defiance, it seemed, had shaken its hold on Hillview. I seized the opportunity, channeling the spirit of my grandmother, and faced the entity head-on. "You will not intimidate me," I declared, my voice trembling but resolute. "I know your game, your whispers of fear and despair. But I will not succumb. I will unravel your secrets, one by one, and expose you to the light." The entity recoiled, its crimson eyes flickering with a malevolent rage. It hissed and screeched, spewing forth chilling threats and promises of unimaginable torment. But I held my ground, my voice rising above its cacophony. "Empty threats," I cried. "You feed on our fear, on our silence. But I will not be silenced. I will speak the truth, and your power will crumble." A wave of icy cold washed over me as the entity lashed out with its unseen power. The air crackled with dark energy, and shadows writhed on the walls like tortured souls. But somehow, I remained standing, my defiance a shield against its onslaught. Then, just as abruptly as it began, the attack ceased. The entity, with a final, ear-splitting shriek, dissolved into swirling tendrils of darkness, vanishing into the depths of the manor. I was left alone, trembling in the oppressive silence, the taste of iron heavy on my tongue. Though the entity was gone for now, I knew my victory was far from complete. Hillview Manor, with its labyrinthine corridors and dusty secrets, still held the key to my family's tragic past and the entity's true power. Armed with a newfound determination and the faint whispers of my grandmother's spirit guiding me, I embarked on a desperate quest to unravel the mansion's mysteries. My search led me through cobweb-draped rooms and forgotten corridors, each step echoing with the whispers of the past. I explored the grand library, its shelves groaning under the weight of ancient tomes and dusty diaries. In the flickering firelight, I deciphered faded journal entries, each page a chilling fragment of my family's descent into madness. I ventured into the abandoned nursery, its rocking horse frozen mid-gallop, a silent testament to a childhood stolen by unseen horrors. The air here was thick with an overwhelming sadness, a chilling echo of a mother's despair. I even dared to approach the sealed chamber, the one Alistair warned me against in his final, blood-curdling entry. Fear gnawed at me, urging me to turn back, but the thirst for understanding, for honoring my grandmother's spirit, compelled me forward. With trembling hands, I located the hidden mechanism, a rusty lever tucked behind a faded tapestry. As I pulled it, a low groan resonated through the manor, like the tortured wail of a tormented soul. The seal cracked, revealing a narrow passage shrouded in an unnatural darkness. My heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs, but I took a deep breath and stepped into the abyss. The passage descended into the bowels of the earth, the air thick with a cloying dampness and the stench of decay. The darkness pressed in from all sides, the echoes of my own footsteps amplifying my fear. Then, a faint green glow flickered ahead, beckoning me deeper. Emerging into a cavernous chamber, I was met with a sight that froze the blood in my veins. The walls were adorned with grotesque murals depicting scenes of demonic rituals and blood sacrifices. In the center of the chamber, on a raised dais, lay a pulsating orb of obsidian, its surface swirling with tendrils of darkness. And tethered to its surface, by chains forged from nightmares, was the spectral form of my grandmother, her eyes filled with unimaginable pain and despair. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized the truth. Alistair hadn't been consumed by the darkness, he had sacrificed himself to bind it, trapping it within the chamber at the cost of his sanity and ultimately his life. But the entity, cunning and malevolent, had found a way to reach my grandmother, drawing her spirit into its prison. With a choked cry, I lunged towards the dais, but an unseen force slammed me against the wall. My body ached, but the sight of my grandmother fueled my resolve. I scrambled to my feet, channeling all my anger and grief into a defiant scream. "Release her!" I roared, my voice echoing through the chamber. "You will not take another innocent soul." The orb pulsed with renewed malice, the shadows dancing on the walls morphing into grotesque shapes. The entity's voice, a chorus of chilling whispers, slithered through the air. "Foolish child," it hissed. "You cannot defy the darkness. Your blood holds the key to my liberation, and soon I will break free and consume your world." But I refused to back down. My grandmother's spectral gaze met mine, a flicker of hope sparking in her eyes. Drawing strength from her silent plea, I gathered my remaining energy and unleashed a final, desperate cry. "No!" I screamed. "My legacy will not be one of fear and madness. I choose light." And as if in response to my words, a light, pale and ethereal, emanated from my fingertips. It pulsed outwards, banishing the shadows and washing over the chamber. The orb shrieked, its obsidian surface cracking under the onslaught of light. My grandmother's chains began to dissolve, her spectral form shimmering with newfound energy. Then, with a final, ear-splitting crack, the orb shattered, and the entity within disintegrated into a swirling vortex of pure darkness. Light flooded the chamber, banishing the oppressive gloom. My grandmother, freed from her spectral prison, embraced me in a warm, ethereal light. In that moment, I felt the darkness that had haunted my family for generations lift, replaced by a sense of peace and acceptance. As dawn broke, casting its golden rays over Hillview Manor, I emerged from the chamber, my grandmother's spirit fading into the morning mist. The house, though still scarred by its past, seemed lighter, the shadows less menacing. In her sacrifice, my grandmother had shown me the true meaning of bravery, the power of choosing light over darkness. Though Hillview Manor forever holds the echoes of past tragedies, it no longer holds the power to harm. The entity vanquished, its secrets exposed, the silence once filled with whispers of fear now hums with a quiet resilience. In unraveling the darkness, I had also untangled my own path, finding not only the truth about my family, but also the strength to forge a future free from the chains of the past. The haunting of Hillview Manor may be over, but its lessons will forever resonate within me. It is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest corners, the light of hope can always find a way to shine through.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more similar horror stories.